Imagine waking up one morning, reaching for your phone, and nothing works. No WhatsApp, no YouTube, no email, not even Google. The entire internet has just gone. Sounds impossible, right? After all, the internet was designed to survive even a nuclear war. But here's the truth. Entire countries have been taken offline not just once, but many times. So, can someone really shut down a whole nation's internet? The answer is yes. And in this video, we are going to find out how. People often think the internet can never be stopped. They say it's everywhere, it's too big, it always finds another way. And yes, the internet is strong. It was designed to keep working even if some parts break. That is why many people believe it is unstoppable. But here is the truth. In the real world, the internet does have weak points. And when someone controls those points, they can block a whole country from going online. Think of like electricity. Imagine a country with power lines everywhere, lighting up every home. It feels impossible to turn off all the lights. But if you control the main power stations or the big switches, you don't need to touch every house. You can cut power for millions of people in seconds. History shows us many times when a whole country lost its internet not by accident but because the government decided. Take Egypt in 2011. People were protesting in the streets during the Arab Spring. To stop them from organizing online, the government told every internet company in the country to switch off their connections. Within hours, almost 80 million people were offline. For 5 long days, Egypt was cut off from the world. Then there is Syria in 2012. In the middle of civil war, the internet didn't just slow down, it disappeared completely more than once. Officials claimed that fiber cables had been damaged, but many experts said this was not an accident. It was a way to silence people and control what news could spread. In Myanmar in 2021, after the military took power, they didn't just block Facebook or Twitter. They pulled the plug on the whole internet. Imagine waking up and suddenly no WhatsApp, no emails, no news. For weeks, entire towns had no way to connect with the outside world. And it doesn't only happen in war. In Iran in 2019, when protests spread quickly on social media, the government cut off almost the entire internet for a whole week. More than 80 million people were suddenly living in a digital blackout. Even Turkey in 2016 faced a sudden internet slowdown and blocks during the military coup. Social media platforms like Twitter and Facebook were almost impossible to use at the most critical moment, and I was there at that time, and it was a nightmare from many aspects. These are not random accidents. They are not just broken cable. They are political choices. Governments use one simple fact. If they control the internet providers, they can control the internet inside their borders. And when they want silence, they pull the plug. Okay, but how does this work technically? Let's break it down, no jargon, just the basics. Controlling the ISPs. Every country has internet service providers. Some have thousands, like the United States, others have just a handful. In places with only 2 or 3 major ISPs, it's easy. The government calls them, gives them an order, and they switch off their routers. Shutting down IXPs, Internet Exchange Points. IXPs are like airports for data, hubs where networks meet and exchange traffic. Close an IXP and suddenly the country loses its main route to the global internet. Many African countries, for example, depend heavily on just 1 or 2 IXPs. Cutting submarine cables. 95% of international internet traffic flows through undersea cables. These cables land at just a few points in each country. Damage those landing stations and you isolate the nation. In 2008, cable cuts in the Mediterranean slowed down internet in Egypt, India, and Gulf states for days. National firewalls. Some countries don't shut down the internet completely but filter it. The best known case is China's Great Firewall. Instead of pulling the plug, they control what comes in and out, which website you can access, which apps you can use. That's another kind of shutdown, just more selective. So yes, the internet is big and global, but in every country, it still passes through a few key doors. Control those doors and you control the internet. Now, let's look at some modern cases where the internet became part of war and politics. China. The internet is not off, but it is tightly controlled. The Great Firewall blocks Google, Facebook, YouTube, and thousands of websites. Instead of shutting everything down, the government shapes what people can see. It is not a blackout, it's a walled garden. India. Believe it or not, India leads the world in internet shutdowns. Local governments often cut mobile internet in specific regions during protests or elections. Kashmir, for example, has faced some of the longest shutdowns in history. Months without proper access. Iran. In 2019, protests spread quickly online. The government responded by shutting down almost all internet. For a week, it was like turning a country of 80 million into a digital island. Russia and Ukraine. During the war in Ukraine, the internet infrastructure became direct target. Fiber cables were cut, data centers bombed. But here is where it gets interesting. Ukraine turned to Starlink satellite. Suddenly, even with ground networks damaged, people could still get online. This was the first time in history a satellite system played such a big role in war communication. I have videos for the satellite and Starlink in the channel. Please have a look at the other videos as well. So these examples show us two things. Shutting down the internet is possible, and it's happening more than most people think. How people keep fighting back? Here is the thing. Even when governments shut down the internet, people don't just give up. They look for ways around it. One of the most common tools is VPN, Virtual Private Network. Instead of going directly to a blocked website, people connect to a server in another country and use that as a bridge. In places like China, Iran, and Russia, millions of people use VPNs every single day just to reach Google, YouTube, or social media. Of course, the governments try to block the VPNs too, but then new ones pop up. It turns into a never-ending cat and mouse game. Satellites show their power in Ukraine. Even when cables were cut and towers destroyed, people stayed connected, families could talk, and journalists could report. But not every place has that option. In Gaza, when power and networks go down, people are left in silence. Families can't reach each other, doctors can't coordinate, and the world struggles to see what's happening. It shows us the internet in war is not just about technology, it's about human survival. Yes, shutdowns are powerful. They bring confusion and silence whole countries for days or even weeks. But they are never complete. People always find a way, and the internet comes back through those small openings. The internet is a weapon. Let's step back and look at the bigger picture. The internet is no longer just something we use for fun or work. It has become a weapon in global politics. Think about what happens when cables under the sea are cut. These cables carry almost all of the world's internet traffic. Cutting one is not just like breaking a wire. It's more like sinking a giant ship that carried goods between the countries. Whole regions suddenly slow down or even go dark. In 2008, for example, when cables in the Mediterranean were damaged, people in Egypt, India, and the Gulf state all felt it. Imagine millions of people waiting for websites to load, banks struggling to send money, and businesses unable to work. One break under the ocean affected countries thousands of kilometers away. Blocking website is another kind of weapon. It's like shutting down all the newspapers and TV stations in a country at once. People no longer have access to outside news, only the version the government allows them to see. Now we should ask some very hard questions. Should the internet be treated as a basic human right, like water and electricity? Should it be protected in times of war the same way we protect hospitals and schools? Or will it become just another battlefield where countries attack each other, not with bombs, but by pulling the plug on millions of people's connections? The answer to those questions will shape the future of internet and maybe the future of our societies as well. So, can you shut down a whole country's internet? Yes. History shows us it has been done many times. Egypt, Syria, Myanmar, Iran, Turkey all went dark. But the story doesn't end there. Each time people found ways back online. Through VPNs, through satellites, through something else. The internet is fragile, but it's also resilient. And maybe that's the real answer. You can shut it down for a while, but you can never kill it completely. Because as long as people want to connect, the internet will always find a way.
Enjoy studying with Orhan.net.